Hi, welcome back to the part 4 of lesson 3. In lesson 3, we are learning about pointers in C++. Now, what we have learned up until now is the basic introduction to the pointers, its syntax with basic data type like integer, float, character, etc. Then we have understand the memory management system, and after that we learned about static and dynamic memory allocation as well data types. Then after that we have learned about how can we use pointers in arrays as well. Now let's talk about dynamic and static arrays and where this concept come from and how you can utilize it in your real life problems. So let's talk about it. So we have already discussed about dynamic versus static memory allocation. You can watch that video first just to have a good conceptual background. Now, let's say that we have a situation in which we have to store large amount of data in an array. Or we can say we want the user to enter the size of an array. For example, if I want such kind of program where the user will be given the objective that enter the size of an array. So I have that kind of situation. Or maybe we want the array to be more flexible for extension. Maybe I am planning to add more data in future in my existing array. So what is the best approach and what is the best preferred approach? So as a programmer, you must know the efficient solution to your problem. So let's have a look. Static array is the simple array that we are used to. Example, integer array size. We have performed multiple tasks on this kind of array. So what is dynamic array? We already learned about heap and stack memory allocation and what is the difference between them. And I mentioned there that there is a very major key difference between them is the size of both memory allocations. In heap, we have huge amount of size available for data as compared to stack memory allocations. And when we talk about these situations, for example, if I have to enter large amount of data, so what is the safe case? I should use dynamic array. Then if I want user to enter, for example, in my memory, I have, for example, space for 500 elements and the user comes in and enter 1000. So will it work? No, the program will crash because I didn't had the size to store that data. Now, what if I want a flexible array? For example, I have stored 500 data, but later on more customers comes in my store and I want to extend my data. Then what I will do? I can't do anything with static, but dynamic gives me that flexibility of extension of large array size and large memory allocation. So let's have a look at the generalized syntax for dynamic array. So as we have discussed for dynamic integer or dynamic any data type, this is the same syntax. So first of all, you want any kind of pointer for it and you will use the keyword of new. So let's demonstrate this example or maybe other to check the syntax and working of dynamic arrays. Let's have a look. So I welcome you here. So this is static array. So don't get confused. This is static array. And also we have used simple pointers to access the elements. So pointers doesn't mean that we are using dynamic. Okay, dynamic is something else in which we use the concept of pointers. Okay, so now let's have a look. So first of all, what is the best approach to do it? The best way to do is that whatever you want to name your array, so I will say array name is equals to new, new, and which kind of array you want? Integer data type. Okay, integer data type, and I want size. Okay, size is a predefined keyword, so we should avoid using it here. Now let's say I want to enter the size first. For example, I will demonstrate here that I want user to enter the size. So sorry, I didn't declare the size variable. So let me just declare that first. Then we will say C in size. So we have got the data, and let's see will it work. Oh, it doesn't work because, oh, sorry, we are not using a pointer. So now it will work. So it works. I entered size of 5. Okay. So now it works. So you may ask a question, why we use this syntax? We could have used just a simple syntax by integer, array, name, size, and that's it. Both are same. But in memory, both are not same. This is static and this dynamic. Now, I already told you, for example, if I have a situation, let's say if I have a situation where my memory can hold 500 elements, okay, my memory can hold 500 elements. I say limit is 500 elements. You see, 500 elements. And in static, sorry, I will just comment it down here. Static memory allows me only 100 elements. Okay, everything is fine now. I have 500 elements storage size, and the static can allow me 100 elements. Now, what is my requirement? I will see my requirement. If my requirement is 100 elements, so I can use this static allocation with no worry about it. But what if my requirement is 200 elements? What will happen? Then static fails. Your program will crash, and it is not a preferred solution to do it. So that's why whenever we are taking input from the user, just to be on safe side, we prefer using dynamic memory allocation for that purpose, because heap allocation is much larger as compared to stack. There are more features to it as well, but in just for simplicity of understanding, you can say that heap storage is much larger as compared to stack. So that's why we prefer using dynamic memory allocation when we are taking input from user, or we are planning to extend our data, or we are planning to do whatever we want with large amount of data. So now how will this all work? We have got a pointer. So this pointer, maybe you will be saying that, for example, if I want to enter something, let's say I want a for loop integer I is equals to 0, I is less than size of an array, and I plus plus. Okay, so C in, you may ask yourself that I will use this star and array name, and I will then use +1. No, it's not the case here. Now you will treat this array as like a static array. For example, this array name represent what? This array name represents the array, and this index shows you the position. So this is going to be taking the input from you, and now for the output, what we can do is to copy this whole for loop from here. and instead of C in we will say C out, and we will use endl as well, end of line. Now let's run this program and let's see will it work. Enter the size of an array. Size is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have got our printing and accessing of elements. So we have entered the data in elements and we have print out that data. So let me just revise the whole concept from the beginning once again of dynamic arrays. So what happens if there is a situation you are planning to extend your data, you are planning to get input from the user, you are planning to have a flexible array. So what is the preferred solution? What is the preferred syntax to do that, to achieve your task? That is the dynamic array allocation. You can use this syntax or you may use a integer star array name, separately declare the array name, and then you can say array name is equals to new int and size. So these both are yours. So I like to do it in just one line, so that's much better. Okay, but you do not get confused if somewhere else is written in that other syntax. So both are basically the same. So what it does, it allocates the space in heap rather than the stack. So this is heap, and heap is much larger, we already know, and there are much more flexibility. But we use references, we use pointers in heap. In heap situation we use references rather than using simple data. Okay, simple stack data. Okay, so this is how you access it, just in simple way, and this is how you can print the data. So this was it for the basic introduction regarding the arrays. Now I hope that you have got the basics of pointers, you have got the idea about static and dynamic memory allocations, you have got the idea about array, taking inputs in array, flexible size of an array, as well as dynamic versus static array. So these are really useful concepts, and this will be used in further programming as well when we reach maybe linked list, maybe objects and things like that, where we will use pointers as well. So must remember these concepts, watch it again and again. If you do not get it at one time, it is sometimes difficult for beginners as well. But if you face any kind of issues, you can contact me anytime. So for now, this is it for lesson number 3. And after this, we are going to look at the functions. And in functions, we will perform some projects and some tasks which will cover in deep concepts deeply about these pointers as well, because they are really useful in functions. So I hope this will get you started with pointers in C++. So until next video, I have to go. See you in the next one. Bye. Thanks.